My name's Bennie Kirk. I'm a volunteer here at the Austin Steam Train Association. We have many crews working on many things right now. I'd like to show you some of the stuff we've accomplished. Come on inside. Today we're putting some of the conduit in for the cable. This is the cable, 4-aught wire, big stuff. There'll be 3 of them in each conduit. This brings electricity from the generator down here on these 3 terminals up through one of these conduits back up to the distribution box over in the power cabinet. We have a second conduit here that we can double up and get maximum power out of this generator. Right now this will give us about 350 amps, which will drive about 3 trains of our own current consist. I'll finish this up by putting the piece we just cut in. All right. The other day we talked about getting these 2 in. Well, we've now got them in, got them tied down. We've got some good big wires coming into them, coming down and connecting to the generator. And then we have these wires connecting all the way to the main switch. So we now have complete connection between the generator and the head-end power underneath the car. As a matter of fact, not only do we have connection, we plugged this into the consist and run the consist for about an hour or so. And it ran great with no problems, no hesitations, didn't even slow down a bit. This cable here is the control wires. So all these little wires coming down from the bottom go to the starter, come up here and go to the control box that hooks up all of the sensors from the generator back to the control cabinet. These are the wires that were draped across the floor. We are now having them go through conduits. We saw over there where the conduits, the cables were coming out, coming overhead. Well, they came in here. We've got them coming up to the top of the switch. Good for 200 and 250 amps on all 3 phases. We also have them coming out the bottom, going over to the junction box and down into the head-end power underneath the car. We completed the old plenum around the engine. Now we've extended the plenum, make the cage around the big radiator fan. You can see they've got a good job. It's nice and sturdy, wraps around the far side. We have a door on the front we can get in and out of. We'll be putting a big panel up here. It's 4 foot high, same width as the material, so we don't have to cut it. And then a cut panel up here. So this will just extend the hallway all the way down. While we're here, we've installed the fuel system up through the floor. We got 2 fuel lines. We've got the main line coming in and the overflow flow back going back to the tanks. These lines are pretty sturdy to begin with, but to make sure that people working inside this conduit on the radiator, if they happen to step back, they don't step on this and trip over it. We've got a conduit in here to protect both the maintenance man and the hoses themselves. The main fuel line in is going to go through a coarse filter, water separator, make us have cleaner fuel. It's going to be sucked through with this digital suction pump. This lifting pump is going to pull it up and then pump it into the engine, where there we're going to have additional coarse filter and fine filter before it goes to the injectors. We've done a lot of big work around here, which we've showed you. Next, let's go to Chip, who's painting the ceilings, and show you what he's up to.
Well, today we're putting the final coat of paint on the ceiling and the generator car. We first had to go through and prep the ceiling by cleaning it, which was a real chore, as you can imagine. And then we put 2 coats of a primer on there, and then 2 coats of the final paint, which is this marshmallow color, they call it. Anyway, so this is what we're doing, is just painting away.
This is one of the 200-gallon fuel tanks. We're going to have a pair of saddle tanks underneath this car. Right now you can see they actually have cleaned it off, stripped it down, and put on some primer coat. But this thing will hang underneath the baggage car. I'll show you right now. We have crewmen that are already putting in the heavy equipment. This is where it will hang on the 2 sides. You really can't see. There's a bracket down there and a bracket down here that'll hold the 2 ends. And then we'll put the sister tank on the other side. We have the tanks mounted. These brackets on both ends and in the middle are holding it good and stable. They're not going anywhere. We have a saddle tank on the other side to extend our capabilities, give us more range and run more hours here in the yard. Originally talked about a single tank and decided we really need a few more gallons to make it through a full weekend. The Rippling Stream car, which is one of the passenger cars on the consist right now, happens to have a matching saddle tank for this arrangement and a generator it wasn't using. So we relieved the car of that saddle tank and put it in here. So now we have 400 gallons, get us well through a weekend. If you look right here, we have 2 fuel inlets with pretty caps. So we can add fuel from either side to either tank. We have a fuel level gauge on both tanks so you can know where you are from either side. These are the fuel tank connections. This one here has a pipe that goes down within about an inch of the floor of the tank. The fuel pump actually sucks the fuel up from this one and takes it to the coarse filter. When the fuel is done through the injectors and we have overflow, it comes back in here and returns to the tank. The little guy in the middle, we're going to put a breather on it so this tank doesn't ever get clogged up and pressurized. That'll help normalize the pressure inside the tank. Right now I'm working on the doghouse. The doghouse fits on top of the car, the hole in the roof. It keeps rainwater from coming in. It lets the radiator air out, and it also lets the tailpipe air out. We're constructing it with stainless steel rectangular pipes. When the whole thing is together, we'll set it up on top and bolt it down. Okay, we have mounted the doghouse on top. We bolted it down. We put the vents on the side. We've extended the exhaust pipes out, and it's all set and ready to run. We're doing some exterior painting on this car. Let's go to Mark, who is painting the junction box right now.
Mark Starkle, we've been grinding off the rust and so forth on these tanks underneath the car and get ready to paint them. This is where some of the electrical wiring goes in. Over on the other side is the battery box. We're cleaning that up as well. Just trying to make everything look pretty for when we get it hooked up onto the train.
The original wiring on this thing was what I call a rat's nest or a spider web. It was all over the place. Originally we thought we'd save it because it looked kind of neat. But when we used LED lighting, it became kind of hard to get the kind of coverage we wanted. So we went ahead and ripped everything out. You'll see they've got everything off the ceiling and they've got it all painted nice and simple now. So what we have is all the wires. We're going to have a circuit breaker box up on the top of this cabinet. All the wires come out there and go into the main AC distribution, DC distribution, and go down this single conduit to both ends of the cars where we will have the lights separated by a box on that far end or from this box on this end. Here's an example of one of our dual function lights. This is about every other light's going to have the main light and the backup light. The backup light is a DC light. When you get into the car, you push a button and the light will come on it with about a 20-minute timer. This runs off the batteries, so we don't want it to stay on all the time. Once we get the generator working, we can then turn the main lights on, and after some point, the battery lights will turn off, and that will be the light from the AC lights. Those are LED lights, look like fluorescents. They're very low wattage, very low power usage, both the backup and the primary lights. As you can see, we've completed a lot of work. Oh, look, a possum. Turn your camera around, get that thing. Hurry, hurry. Hey! Squirrel. As you can see, we've completed quite a bit of work on the power car. We're really eager to get it on the train. We should be able to get it on the consist and be powering the train within a very short time. We're looking forward to that. This is the second to last video. We're expecting one more, which will wrap up all the work we're going to do to get this thing completed and finished. Almost everyone out here is a volunteer, from the car attendants to the engineers to the restoration teams to the maintenance on the train. If you would like to volunteer to work out here, look at austinsteamtrain.org. Thanks for watching.